Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to today's reading from Brilliant as the Sun. Welcome to today's reading from Sri Damodar Janani by His Holiness Shivram Swami. We have started reading from chapter 1, setting the scene, and we're just reading about how Yashoda Maiya is there at the Nanda Bhavan looking after Sri Krishna as a baby. And let's begin from there. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Parmananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Mildly rebuking her assistant, Yashoda said, "My son will wake up any moment, and here you are taking hours to ornament me. I will do it myself. Meanwhile, quickly decorate my head and braid with those flowers." Taking a seat behind Nanda's queen with a basket of malati flowers in her lap, the maidservant carefully inserted one flower after the other in Yashoda's braid until it looked like a spotted serpent. She then tied a small garland to both the root and the tip of the braid, and after decorating from the back, she moved to one side and then the other. Placing flowers in and above the curls hanging over Yashoda's forehead, when touching Yashoda's hair, loving thoughts would stream through the maidservant's body like electric currents. She reasoned the vines of Mother Yashoda's thoughts have become bluish by constant meditation on Krishna. Sprinkled by the nectar of love, they have grown out as her hair. Inspecting her artistry, she added, "Goddesses fall from their airplanes in envy to see the beauty of this queen." Restless for the service of her son, Yashoda cut short her own grooming and, followed by her assistant, hurried into the courtyard below, where 3 golden churns of milk were waiting. Like the village women, the men had also left early that morning, but they had gone to perform the annual sacrifice for the heavenly king Indra before returning for Dipavali. Therefore, Yashoda would tote these churns upstairs herself. From half the milk she would make yogurt for tomorrow's butter, and from other half she would prepare sweets by boiling and condensing. Nanda Maharaj was the master of 900,000 cows. Of these, 5 or 7 were as rare as a horse with a black ear because of the superlative quality of their milk, creamy, tasty and aromatic. Padma Gandhi was one such cow, famed throughout Braja because her milk shared the aroma of the red lotus. To make their special milk even more special, these cows were carefully pastured in a divine meadow whose grasses were soft, juicy and fragrant. Some gopis suggested that the seeds of this field originated from the heaven. The milk of these cows was then delivered daily in 3 golden urns to Mother Yashoda, whose servants converted some into yogurt and boiled the rest for sweets. While it was natural that a queen supply her son with the best of everything, there was another reason. Yashoda gave this special milk to Krishna. She wanted to wean him off stealing. "Somehow my son has become addicted to stealing the milk produce of our neighbors. To break this habit, I must entice him by providing butter that is far superior to that which he can get elsewhere." And so Yashoda not only collected the best milk for Krishna, but often churned and boiled it herself. This would be the case today. Yashoda would churn the yogurt and would also watch the stove. These girls cannot be trusted. They regularly burn the milk, she thought, and with reliable Rohini taking Balram to brother Upananda's village, I will have to do both things myself. Tightening her garments, Yashoda poured the milk into a large pot on the stove, and from the yogurt that was prepared the previous day, she spooned the best part into a churn near the door of the bed chamber. From there she would be able to see Krishna on the bed as well as the boiling milk on the stove. While the maidservant deftly ignited the sandalwood fire, Yashoda began to churn the yogurt, and as she did, she gradually sank into the quicksand of Krishna Lila. Her service complete, the maidservant eagerly left Yashoda and Krishna for the Deepavali preparations. As a queen who was regularly accompanied by her retinue, Yashoda was pleased to now be alone with her son for a change. She whispered, "If one is decorated with the celestial blue lotus, no other ornament is needed." Looking out the window, Yashoda could see at a distance a procession of gopas accompanied by gopis and children. Seated in bullock carts, it was Nanda Maharaj accompanying Rohini and Balram to Upananda's home in Sahara. Today the king would not attend the Indra Puja. His younger brother Sunanda would supervise those ceremonies, and once both brothers had completed their functions, they and their retinues would return for the Deepavali celebrations. Squinting into the sunshine, Yashoda Devi could make out her husband at the head of the procession, his golden chariot resplendent like a second sun. Her heart swelled with affection for her righteous spouse, who had bestowed upon her the inconceivable treasure of Krishna. Folding her hands in respect, she whispered, Namastute Gopavara, O best of cowherd men, I offer my respectful obeisances to you. Then she thought, by the grace of my husband, our household has become famous for sheltering Gopala, and in turn I have become famous as Yashoda, one who gives fame. But there was more to it than that. The truth of the matter is that by her love for her son, Mother Yashoda is so great that she gives fame to Krishna, to her noble husband, and to their family lineage. She is truly the better half of Nanda Maharaj, and that distinction adds to his super excellent paternal love for the Lord and makes him the best of all Gopas. Thus, while it is sometimes said that Nanda is as fortunate as Yashoda and she is as fortunate as he, learned sages agree that because of her unrivaled love, Mother Yashoda is the more blessed of the two. This truth is further confirmed by the pastime about to unfold, the Damodar Leela, a pastime in which she alone shares center stage with Krishna. Casting a last glance eastward to another contingent of Rajavasis, she thought, these men led by brother Sunanda will go to the Brahmana village by the Yamuna, and after participating in the Indra Yajna, they shall go to the Govardhan hill, where to the accompaniment of musical instruments and great fanfare they will raise a flag in honor of heaven's king. All glories to Indradev. Seated on a bejeweled chowki, Mother Yashoda took up the rope, looped around the churning rod, and began to pull. Right arm, left arm, right arm, left arm. The silken rope was entwined with gold and silver thread, and at each end was a golden handle to ensure a secure grip. Like other pots, the churn was made of fire clay, but unlike others, it was set with stone. It was set with stones and decoratively painted with charming designs. It had to be special for Krishna. So she's sitting on a chowki. Chowki is the four-legged little stool to sit on. The golden churning rod was set with precious gems and kept straight by ropes fixed to a pillar, top, middle, and bottom. As lovely Yashoda pulled, the sound of churning yogurt made a soft swish, swish, swish. That swishing sound had its own language, liquid words that said, O Gopala, if you do not wake up, then what was the need of your father robbing the celestials of their best cows, and what is the need of your mother laboring so hard? As if prompted by the churn, Yashoda Devi looked at Krishna, and her eyes cascaded tears like blue lotuses their honey. Although her eyes were naturally beautiful because she was always watching her persistently mischievous son, Yashoda's eyes were charmingly elongated, as if in disagreement with the churning rod. Yashoda thought, let him sleep a little more, my son is so active that he needs the extra rest. Smiling, she whispered, besides, in that way Gokul's residents will be spared another few moments from his mischief. Swish, 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 continued the churn. O queen, swish, swish. Why does your son raid the storehouses of your subjects? I do not know. He drinks so much of my breast milk and eats so much yogurt. It all adds up to more than any mortal could consume, and yet he always wants more. Swish, swish, swish. She added, maybe he steals from the neighbor's home because he does not like the butter from his own home. Swish, swish, swish. Impossible. Even the devas queue to taste the butter from this house, especially when you prepare it. Rather, the propensity of children is to steal. That is all. Queen, be at ease. With a sigh of relief, Yashoda rested the churning rope on the chowki and walked to the stove to gently stir the milk. It had yet to boil. Then, like a majestic swan, she walked to the bedchamber to admire her sleeping son. Leaning against the door jamb, she blew him a kiss, and resuming her churning, she gave vent to her loving ecstasy by singing, Gokulapati Kula Tilakatvam Asiha Krita Sukrita Vraja Rachita Sukha Vraja Nayana Nandi Samiha. O Tilak, ornament of Gokula's king's dynasty, pouring delight into their eyes, you bring endless joy to the pious folk of Vraja. Anando Bhava Janma Mahotsava Nandita Gopa Samaja Putanika Mriti Nava Mangala Kriti Valaita Gokula Raja. The cowherd people were overjoyed by the celestial observance of your birthday, and after Putana died, Gokul's king performed the further auspicious rites for your protection. Dharya Nivartana Shakta Vivartanam Anubhavayena Parita Satranavrataka Vayu Nivartaka Parameshena Nita. Impetuous as you are, you toppled the cart, and some days later the Supreme Lord kindly rescued you from the whirlwind Trinavrit and returned to us. Madhur Prangana Virachita Ringana Jalajanayana Supunya Nana Kelishu Nritya Kalilishu Darshita Vara Naipunya. O beautiful lotus-eyed child, who gracefully crawls in the palace courtyard and who is also an expert and playful dancer, Taranaka Bala Dhi Shavalita Tanva Adhi Valaita Manjula Shobha Jarati Nivahe Kautuk Kalahe Pravalita Mithya Lobha. Although a handsome protector of calves, you are a greedy liar, just jousting in a playful quarrel with elder gopis. Mama Matram Anu Sukham Udvitano Pratatam Satatam Krishna Rutam Urari Kuru Tanu Vradhim Puru Khelavadi Krita Trishna. O Krishna, O insatiable thirst to play with friends, quickly come to your mother and make me happy, do not delay. Tribhuvana Darshana Vishamaya Marshana Nishchita Vaishnava Maya Hari Vari Vasya Sukhada Tamahasya Vigata Jara Marakaya. Although your divine potencies seem to fill the three worlds with wonder, I continue to pray to Lord Hari that you never grow old or die, and that you continue to bring us happiness, O Krishna. The maternal love of Yashoda was like the burning fire on the kitchen stove, and her heart like the simmering milk in the pot. As her heart filled with thoughts of Krishna, her eyes overflowed with tears, and her mind smoldered. Conversing within herself, she thought, those foolish maidservants, they are neither intelligent nor experienced enough to prepare this butter properly. That is why Krishna is attracted to others' homes. From now on, I shall prepare all the buttermilk, anything that my son eats. Then Krishna will give up his stealing ways, and I will be one to enjoy the nectar of service to him, not silly servant girls. Pacified by her inner exchange, Yashoda focused more attentively on churning while continuing to meditate on Krishna through self-composed songs. Although many professional poets and their wives had penned songs of Krishna and his deeds, Mother Yashoda had composed her own. In the same way that she remained dissatisfied with her maidservant's butter, she could not be satisfied with the songs of Vraja's bards. She thought, what do they know about the true beauty and sweetness with which my son mesmerizes the universe and enchants my heart? And if they do not know these things, how can they properly express them? Poor bards. Could they ever pacify their queen? No one in Vrindavan, or anywhere for that matter, loved Krishna as she did. How then could Vraja's poets glorify him in ways that would fully satisfy the yearnings of her heart? If the son of Vyasa praised my Gopala with the most selected words, and meter, perhaps in his compositions, would be the nectar of which my ears hanker. So Yashoda Devi's words could not prove false. Many wise souls, proficient in cultivating an conditional attitude of service to Krishna, would attain perfection by hearing and reciting the songs composed by Shukadev Goswami. Most fortunate still would be devotees who gained admittance to the realm wherein they could hear the songs that Mother Yashoda composed herself. Pulling on a churning rope, Yashoda rhythmically swayed left to right and back again, deeply absorbed in Krishna's pastimes. She could not tell whether she was remembering them or singing about them, but it was both. And while Yashoda relished this opportunity to be alone with her son, with her butter churn and with her songs of Krishna Leela, divine fate had other ideas. Yogamaya had already penned a different script, a special script, a Damodar pastime that required Rohini, Balram, the maid servants, everyone to be absent. Not so that Yashoda could be alone with Krishna, but so they could not object to his being bound by her. Were they present, they surely would, but now that all potential obstacles were removed, the pastime potency would unveil a new exciting course of events that would fulfill Krishna's will. Having disclosed how by her extraordinary qualities, incessant singing and supreme affection, Yashoda is the perfect mother, the divine potency sang of her extraordinary beauty and cried. Seated on a chalky, Mother Yashoda continued to churn, occasionally stealing only a glance at her son, worried that by staring she would wake him and also be negligent to her in her duty. Unlike some elderly gopis, Yashoda was gracefully slender, yet she pulled relentlessly on churning rope with a strength that belied her physique. Mother Yashoda's energy was neither physical nor mystical. It was the force of love, the force of limitless love, and a force that vibrated along the churning rope. While the churn would have been quite content to produce butter unaided, Yashoda Devi would have none of that. How would she show her love if not by preparing butter herself? Beside, what did a butter churn know about the churning good butter? O Queen, let me do this and I will just sing of your son. Parental love replied, then how will I become manifest in loving service to Krishna? Mother, just hold the rope lightly and I will do the rest. That will not do. My heart would not be satisfied. Churn, behave, and let me flow unhindered through your being, as love of God thus streamed from her every pore, enhancing her unmatched beauty. Mother Yashoda labored while the low swish of churning gently blended into the sounds of morning, but some sounds would not blend in any and stood out instead. These were the tinkling of her earrings, her bracelets, and other ornaments. They combined into an orchestral performance with a mind of its own. As fatigue weighed on Yashoda's arms, she strained that much harder until her whole body shook, and with it her bountiful regal ornaments. The combined sound of her shaking ornaments was like a tinkling of dozens of tiny bells, a kinkini dhvani. Like the bells the pujaris used to wake deities in the early morning, and Krishna, the fountainhead and shelter of all deities, heard that tinkling as a call to rise. Slowly, slowly, ever so slightly, Krishna opened his lotus eyes while Lord Vishnu would continue to sleep on his bed of snakes for another 2 weeks. Krishna, the origin of Vishnu, awoke. Aware of the achievement, the tinkling ornament said, O source of creation, just see how hard your mother is laboring to make first-class butter. Krishna peered from his vantage point on Yashoda's bed. His drowsy eyes slowly closed. She thought, he is still tired. Let him sleep a little more. But Krishna was no longer tired. The love radiating from his mother had entered his eyes and shone into his heart, where it was creating such a festival of bliss that he was ready to crawl out of bedchamber to embrace her. Yet he restrained himself, allowing his own love to engulf his being. In a childish way, Krishna thought, what an exquisite sight. So we'll continue our reading from here onwards next time. Thank you for joining in today's reading. Hare Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.